Hello and welcome to Unscripted. I'm Abdillahi Hassan, the producer of our social program. In our featured reports and interviews, we reveal new aspects of Somaliland in each new episode. The program explores social life in the areas of education, health, religion, heritage, and politics. This week, we are looking into the one downside of Somaliland's exceptional rainy season. We are also exploring the efforts of Vice President Abdirahman to promote Somaliland into social media. Welcome to the show. This year Somaliland is having exceptionally good rainy season. The rainfall this year surpasses what Somaliland experienced in the last 2 decades. That's a blessing. But it also brought to the front the problem of stationary water bodies inside cities. In our first report, we will look into one of those water bodies inside the capital. That's Daami Dam. Water bodies are good sight in any place. They are pleasant to the surroundings and make the micro-weather gentle. The breeze is just better near them. However, in close proximity to residential areas, they are hazardous. They can even be deadly. Hargeisa is not placed with permanent running rivers. The only semi-permanent water bodies in the city are rudimentary sand dams. Once at the peripheries of the city, today some of them are at the heart of the residential areas. Daami in New Hargeisa is one of them. Fed by large watercourses, it risks flooding every rainy season. And beyond the rainy season, it poses numerous challenges to the residents of the area. The people of this impoverished neighborhood have been struggling with the water body for years. The more than average rainy season this year only exacerbated their suffering. Mothers here tell us about being trapped in their homes with waterlogged roads blocking water supply from them. They are even scared to send their children to school.
The dam causes many problems. It blocks the road and therefore we don't have a street. The water tanker cannot reach us. The worst thing about it is the health risk that it is posing because of the trash. The water carries all this trash to our homes. We live down there at the mouth of the stream. We don't have a path to the town. Our children cannot go to school. The school and the road too are waterlogged. We are suffering because of this dam. We are suffering because of the dam.
The sand dam flooded the neighborhood last year, and a little boy lost his life. President Mohamed and the mayor of Hargeisa, Abdirahman Soltelko, both visited the neighborhood. The president ordered the water to be cleared within 24 hours.
I am telling you, the rain is coming and the dam is full. The water should not flood the city. The water should be drained. You have to work on saving the lives of the people living around here and other places. Your other works and plans for the city are yours. But with the coming 24 hours, you have to prevent the looming disaster, which is the coming rain, and the dam which is in full capacity. I want you to work in day or night.
The local government had begun works in the area, but probably with the intention to relieve enough water to avert disaster. Perhaps that was their interpretation of the task from the president. But residents here saw it differently. They believe it was a pledge to rid them of their nightmare.
We are trapped people. We are victims. Every person appointed in government promises that he will fix the situation. The president himself visited us. He promised many times with emphasis that he will fix the place. But we haven't seen anything come of it. We haven't seen any action from the mayor, members of parliament, and everyone comes to our dusty, muddy area when he's running for office.
Besides the threat of catastrophic flooding, the dam is also a public health hazard. The watercourses that feed the dam bring gigantic amounts of trash. Local littering and improper waste disposal are to the problem. The fact that the residents are not doing anything about it does not mean they are not aware of the risks.
You can see the state of the reservoir with your eyes. You can see the trash and water mixing. We are the poor people who live near it with our children. Only God can help us. Our government knows of us if they desire to help us. People die here. Right now, there are missing children that are suspected to be down there. The other day, there was a search party for a young boy. He's still missing. The government does not help. The dam has claimed the lives of our children. Some children drink from the dam without parents knowing and becoming sick.
Built decades ago for watering livestock, the people feel that the sand dams have overlifted their need. They pose numerous risks to the lives and the health of the city residents. They also occupy prime real estate land that could be utilized for other public good purposes. People here are vocal about their desire to be rid of the sand dam, and the president seems to even share their opinion. So far, what is lacking is the will to do it. Social media platforms play different roles in world politics. It is blamed partially on the rise of populism by giving platforms to populists that traditional media shuns. But it also has its good uses, one of which is being integral to public diplomacy. That's where heads of states and other actors utilize it to reach out to world audiences. And thus the term Twitter diplomacy was born. Somaliland, always eager to send its message out to the world which seems hell-bent on ignoring her, has enthusiastically embraced Twitter. While President Musa Bihi and his foreign minister are both active Twitter users, perhaps the Vice President is Somaliland's Twitter diplomat-in-chief. The Vice President is prolific Twitter, and he has a niche too. His specialty is reaching out to other world leaders and countries by congratulating them on their successes, important events, and sending out condolences when needed. Vice President Salih has special occasions that he never misses. They include the independence days of other countries and their national days. Of course, being the president of an unrecognized country of only 4 million people has an obvious disadvantage in getting noticed. But that does not seem to hold back the VP. He tags his subjects on Twitter to make sure they heard him. A quick scroll through the Twitter feed of the Vice President shows his relentless efforts. Since October the 2nd, he reached out to 6 countries with congratulatory or condolences messages. On October 11, he congratulated the Ethiopian Prime Minister on winning the Nobel Peace Prize. On October 10, it was for the People's Republic of China. And a day before that, it was Uganda's National Day, and the VP has not missed it. True to form, he tagged the Speaker of the Parliament, the Prime Minister and the State House of Uganda. Djibouti and the United Arab Emirates has also had the attention of the VP. Vice President Salih does not discriminate against countries, no matter the size. Do you know about a country called St. Kitts and Nevis? Vice President Salih does. And apparently September 20th has marked the 36th anniversary of their independence. And of course, he shared with them their joy. In this case, the foreign affairs of the Caribbean nation of 50,000 people saw the note and replied with simple thanks. And take a look at this rather bizarre tweet. The VP is congratulating the National Security Advisor of the United States President, appointed by Donald Trump. And of course, he's not forgetting to tag Trump, his VP, Mike Pence, and a bunch of others. To know more about this subject, I have earlier today talked with Dr. PhD candidate Abdishakur Mohamed. He's preparing his PhD on international relations.
Twitter diplomacy, it is a kernel of diplomacy. When we are talking about diplomacy, we have to consider the message to reach our target. Nowadays, if you look how Twitter affected the world, all the world leaders now, they joined to use Twitter
to reach the citizens and the public foreign opinions in order to get their feedback for what they wanted from their foreign policy. Often, state leaders use Twitter diplomacy in order to engage public policies and to have a feedback for their actions. And also, it's swift to reach the channel of diplomacy. For example, nowadays, Trump has used many Twitters. It's called nuclear Twitters, the dealing of Iran issues. So immediately he de-escalated the issue of Iran. First he made threat, the second he de-escalated. So it means, aside of foreign policy, it's a swift method that we can reach our target. It's a fast growing the channel of communication in diplomacy. When you see the platform of diplomacy, Somaliland is absent. For example, the Twitter diplomacy, Somaliland, they did not utilize how to sell their reputation. For example, the free and fair elections, the geopolitical strategies of the Horn of Africa, and also it is security. So that's why sometimes when we are talking Twitter diplomacy, you will see Somaliland is absent. Maybe some figures are using, such as vice presidency. So this issue really has a negative impact in Somaliland. Many around the world leaders, they don't know Somaliland. Last 10 years, Somalia are more involved in the Twitter Twitter diplomacy rather than traditional methodology of diplomacy. So that's why in Somaliland it affected. For example, the donors, the international communities, the world leaders, they don't aware of our diplomacy and foreign policy in Somaliland seems failure if we are not changing that behavior. We have to engage the platform of Twitter diplomacy. For example, we have academicians, we have diplomats, we have ministers, we have officials. They don't have a Twitters. So even the public policies, the citizens, they are not engaging with the government are doing their policies. Twitter diplomacy, we can realize the vice president, he used a lot of retweeting for congratulating other world leaders. So he seems that he's engaging the platform of diplomacy and he's selling for the Somaliland reputation. Actually, when we see how the foreign ministries, the other officers behaving, the vice president we must congratulate for him. He used his office as a reputation for Somaliland to promote security and democracy. So it seems he's doing well.
This brings us to the end of our program for this week. You can watch the program again on our social media accounts in YouTube and Facebook at CBI TV English.